But there was foreign interference, and it probably did cost several ridings. Not enough to overturn the election, but definitely enough to sway the vote in ridings like Steveston, Richmond East, where Parm Baines is now the Liberal MP because he served to amplify the CCP disinformation campaign against human rights activist Kenny Chiu, who was the Conservative Party candidate there, who had initially proposed a foreign agents registry, which the CCP, of course, didn't like. So they spread misinformation and disinformation, I should say, about him through Chinese language social media and Chinese language news media in his riding. And I should note, the PMO, the Prime Minister's office, was fully aware of it, helped amplify it even, echoed the CCP lies against Kenny Chiu. And because of that, Parm Baines is the Liberal MP, by the way, has the gall to sit on the ethics committee in the House of Commons. Just these people are so shameless. But anyway, let's go into a couple of the findings here. This is what Justice Hogue wrote. The evidence allows me to conclude foreign interference likely impacted some votes in the 2019 and 2021 general elections. She found that the acts of interference that occurred are a stain on our electoral process and impacted the process leading up to the actual vote. More broadly, Hogue emphasized there's a real risk of politicians modifying their positions or their messages, which we heard the Liberals do, as a result of foreign interference. And this risk will increase if we do not take sufficient protective measures to guard against it. I'm reading from the Bureau, Sam Cooper, but we have the report there in front of us. Hogue found that Liberal MP Han Dong's nomination in 2019 could well have been secured by covert support from Chinese international students who faced threats from Chinese officials. And that's a good point to make, is that, so again, if you didn't watch the commission as closely as I did, congratulations, you have a life. But I'm also paid to do this. And also, I find it very interesting because while I, off the top of the show, may have called other people nerds, I might be the nerd. The phone call of nerdiness is coming from inside the house. So what happened in Han Dong's riding is that Han Dong campaigned at a Mandarin-speaking private school where foreign students are, outside of his nomination riding, which is absolutely unheard of. You only have this many resources to campaign in a nomination. Why are you spending them outside of the riding? Well, he says, well, miraculously, all of those students live in the riding. Sure. And then on election day, a bus containing those foreign national Mandarin-speaking students turned up to vote in his nomination. Wouldn't you know it? Han Dong won. And that was a nomination for the Liberal Party because China wanted to make sure that their man got in. And subsequent to that, Han Dong was just, as a backbench nobody, meeting with Chinese consulate officials, talking about the two Michaels, and telling the consular officials, hey, do us a favor, do us a solid, keep those two innocent Canadians locked up until after the election, because if you release them, it makes the Conservative Party position on China look like the reasonable one. So the point I'm trying to make here is that those foreign students from China, obviously spoke Mandarin, they weren't willing participants in this scheme. It sounds like they were being threatened by the CCP also, like, hey, you guys better vote for Han Dong or we're going to send you home to China. And wouldn't it be terrible if something happened to your mom and dad back home? And also, if you are somebody attending a Mandarin-speaking private school in Canada, you are probably from a powerful CCP-linked family. But they were threatening them, which means, well, what do you think that they would do to you here? Right? And somebody like Kenny Chiu and Michael Chong. So Hogue wrote, before the election, intelligence reporting indicated that Chinese international students would have been bussed in to support Han Dong. and that individuals associated with a known PRC, that's People's Republic of China, proxy agent, provided students with falsified documents to allow them to vote. That's falsified residency documents saying, oh, we all go to school outside of the riding, but we all miraculously live in the riding, so let us vote, despite not being residents of Don Valley North. After the election, some intelligence indicated that veiled threats were issued by the PRC consulate to the students, implying that their student visas would be in jeopardy and there could be consequences for their families living in the PRC if they did not support Mr. Don. Given that Don Valley North was considered a safe Liberal seat, if foreign interference did impact the nomination race, this would not likely have affected which party held the riding. Okay, fair enough. It would, however, have affected who is elected to parliament. And this is significant. Sure is. Because it says that not only was the PRC, People's Republic of China, let's call it what it is, the CCP, the Communist Party of China, because the party is the state and the state is the party. If they were attacking conservatives, they were also making sure, which was a little bit more difficult, but they were also making sure, thanks to rigging nominations, making sure that their guys in the Liberal Party got elected. So they were going around the nomination process, installing their people in safe Liberal ridings. So then it goes on to say, while Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was warned of potential irregularities involving the students and Chinese officials in Han Dong's Don Valley North nomination, he decided not to intervene before the October 19th general election. Yet, Hogue also said there's no indication that Trudeau and the Liberals examined the case any further after the October 19th election. Yeah, why would they? They got all the help they wanted from the PRC, and so what's to look at? You know, the outcome worked in the Liberals' favor. All they had to do was turn a blind eye to Chinese meddling, and then they did. And then they formed a government. I asked Mr. Trudeau whether the issue was revisited after the election, Hogue wrote. The specifics of any follow-up are at this point unclear, and I'm not certain what steps were taken. I am. None. None. Hogue also found that British Columbia MP Kenny Chiu, who testified this week at the Ethics Committee and called out Parm Bain's right to his face for his poor moral character, and former Conservative leader Erin O'Toole were attacked with Chinese disinformation, and Chiu may have lost his riding to attacks on WeChat. So that's the news today. Who's shocked? Not me. What's going to come of it? I guess that comes next. That's the second part of the commission, is determining whether or not foreign interference happened. Here we are. It did. Now what do we do about it? We have a year before the next election, a year and a little bit, October 2025. Who's counting down the days? This girl. But Justin Trudeau was asked about it by reporters this morning, and he bumbled his way through it. So let's go to that clip, please.
Foreign interference inquiry results just came out, and they found that while it didn't affect the election results, it did undermine Canadians' trust in our democracy. Hogue found the greatest impact of foreign interference, or did your government unwillingness to call for an inquiry contribute to that?
This government, since 2015, has put forward more measures than any previous government, which has never put forward measures to counter foreign interference. We put forward a number of different bodies, including an elections oversight body that can say with confidence that the 2019 and 2021 elections were in fact decided by Canadians, despite ongoing foreign interference activities from various countries. And the work that the Commission is doing is very, very important in two ways, both to make sure that we are continuing to develop and improve our tools to counter the foreign interference by countries that want to either undermine our democracy or undermine democracy as a whole. but also reassure Canadians about the things that are being done to ensure that Canadian elections are decided by Canadians. So I thank the Commissioner for the interim report, and we'll continue to work with the Commissioner and the Foreign Interference Inquiry over the coming months on the next phases of their work.
What is he talking about? The previous government didn't propose to do anything. He's been in charge since 2015. Can we please quit blaming Stephen Harper? After Stephen Harper is deceased, there will be a Liberal Prime Minister blaming the ghost of Stephen Harper for what's happening in Parliament at this point. He's like the boogeyman for them for any excuse. But it was Kenny Chu, a Conservative MP, who proposed the Foreign Agents Registry, which set about the CCP attacking him. And Parm Baines is now a Liberal MP sitting on the Ethics Committee, just galling because of it. But he doesn't care. You know, like all the testimony stated that not only did the PMO know and do nothing, in some instances, they amplified the CCP messaging against advocates of a foreign agents registry. Kenny Chu testified that the CCP were saying to have a foreign agents registry was racism against Chinese people. I don't know if you picked up on Kenny Chu's last name there, but he's ethnically Chinese from Hong Kong. He's being racist against other Chinese people. I suppose it's a possibility, although outlandish. And guess who amplified that messaging? Justin Trudeau. It became a campaign message that Conservatives were racist. And that came directly from the CCP. So he took the CCP seed and like grew it into this big, gross weed that now we have to root out of the entire Canadian political landscape.